It's a virtual currency which only exists on the internet. Bitcoin, as it's called, bypasses the traditional banking system and has become increasingly attractive as it doesn't involve exchanging currencies. But it's seen a sharp fall in its value today, and this is why. One Bitcoin is currently worth around £315, well down on its peak of almost £700 in December. You buy bitcoins through an online exchange, and one of the biggest, Mtgox, unexpectedly shut down today, owing hundreds of millions of pounds and prompting the sharp fall in the value of the currency, as our business editor Robert Peston explains.
In the world of the internet, the virtual world, there's a currency that doesn't belong to any nation called Bitcoin. And like all currencies, it can be exchanged into other more conventional currencies like dollars or pounds. Except that one of the biggest Bitcoin exchange houses, called Mtgox, has gone offline and seems to have vanished, apparently losing its customers hundreds of millions of dollars.
I had 311 bitcoins in there, which at the time of before this started was worth around $300,000. So it looks like that's disappeared.
Mtgox, based in Tokyo, did 80% of Bitcoin trading in the early days, but has been in difficulty for some time. And do you think there's been fraud here?
I think there's a pretty strong likelihood of that. I think a lot of us have suspected that for quite some time. The fact that they're not talking very openly about what's going on, they deleted all the tweets from their Twitter account yesterday. Something is suspicious and doesn't smell right here.
Other Bitcoin exchanges insisted Mtgox's woes are an exception and that they're robust. So Bitcoin is just money, but not as we know it. You can't hold it in your hand like this stuff. It's blips on a screen. And my goodness, the price is volatile. Look how much the exchange rate for Bitcoin has fallen in just the last 24 hours. If the pound did that, well, Britain would be bankrupt. But what's really interesting about Bitcoin is the way it poses a challenge to the big banks, in that it has the potential to become a really cheap global network for transmitting or shunting money anywhere, anytime, so it could be as dangerous to the traditional banks as Amazon has been to shops.
I think it's definitely more interesting as a way of moving money around. It is faster and cheaper than any other kind of payment network out there.
At the least, these brokers which turn Bitcoin into money or turn money into Bitcoins, they should be regulated.
I think it would probably help Bitcoin as on the whole. There's always these concerns about regulation squashing innovation, and I think that's a legitimate concern. But I think people want safeguards around their money. And exchanges would be, I think, a good place to introduce some regulation.
Bitcoin, an online revolution in global money, or a bubble about to be popped? Perhaps, like the internet in its early days, both. Robert Peston, BBC News.